Botswana's much-lauded economic boom that in part earned her the Africa's Beacon of Hope title is facing a desperate need for transformation. Since independence, the country has largely depended on the mining sector for income, specifically diamonds, with tourism and agriculture making part of the income-generating pie. While much conversation has been had around diversifying the economy, the situation on the ground remains the same, with unemployment rate structurally high at 26% as at 2021, and the inequality gap widening amongst a plethora of other threats. Following the COVID-19 pandemic, however, the economic shakedown proved that there was a need to move beyond idle customary rhetoric and make a commitment to the country's structural environment reform, one that would support economic transformation and sustainability. We caught up with the economist at the First National Bank of Botswana, Basile, on the sidelines of the 16th National Business Conference in Francistown, to dive into the limitations of the current structural environment and some of the opportunities to explore to underpin especially the Vision 2036 mandate of a high-income status economy. Thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. It's always a pleasure having you on our platform. We are at the 16th Biennial National Business Conference talking economic transformation. Perhaps you could talk to us about some of the challenges that have been presented by the current structural environment of Botswana as pertaining economic transformation.
Some of the challenges that have come up relate to the fact that we need significant structural reform to unlock not only economic growth, to address some of the unemployment challenges that we have, but to also position Botswana better for us to reach those aspirations we have for 2036. And, in terms of structural challenges relating to growth, we have issues around basically limited diversification that we've experienced as a nation, and the need for us to kind of springboard the kind of growth we expect to see from other sectors to contribute to a more sustainable growth profile for Botswana going forward. Other challenges relate to the need for infrastructure development to be accelerated, for implementation challenges to be addressed in a more measured approach going forward, for us to be able to tweak where we need to unlock that upside that we expect to see for us to attain high income level.
Let us speak further on unlocking this potential. Where do you think the opportunities lie in reforming these structures if the 2036 vision of a high income status is to be realized?
Opportunities that are there, I think the primary ones have been laid out quite extensively in terms of ERTP. So unlocking growth within other sectors of our primary industries, so agriculture, for example. So by that I mean not only just producing the raw stuff within the primary sector, but trying to add value, some sort of processing for other sectors along the downstream to also experience quite meaningful growth going forward as well.
During his keynote address, the president spoke of a highly productive private sector amongst other key points, leading the 2036 transformation, right? But in your opinion, what does a highly productive private sector look like, or what would it look like?
My understanding of a highly productive private sector is one that will see increased collaboration within the private sector. And I think over the last year or so, we've seen some of the big mining houses actually come out with initiatives that bring different players within the private sector to try and unlock some growth that hasn't been there traditionally. And by that, I'm talking about some of the citizen economic empowerment policies or programs that have come out from the likes of Botswana as well as Morupule, that try and bring in SMEs in terms of their input processes to try and also build up their capacity, skills development for them to be able to export these skills hopefully at some stage within the region and further abreast. So I think that's a good example of some of the high productivity that the president was probably referring to in terms of the private sector, or rather the larger players within the private sector, seeing how they can better support some of the smaller players to try and improve their capacity, try and develop them, for them to be able to compete more internationally going forward.
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.